A warm good afternoon to one and all present here. Today we will be discussing about decoding digital pedagogy, a practical approach. So what we have planned today is like we have divided our entire presentation into two parts. So the content and delivery part will be handled by me, and I will be discussing about a little bit of the technologies that you can use when you go for online learning. So Jitin will be giving you more insight about the technological aspect of uh, the entire online learning. Right? So without any delay, let us go to the presentation. I hope everybody can see me right now. Now, can you see me?
किस पे गूगल पे?
One second, please.
और क्या आवाज ही नहीं आ रही है, क्लियर नहीं आ रही, क्लियर ही लग रहा है।
Okay.
चलो, हाँ
Can you see my presentation right now?
हाँ प्रेजेंट कर दो तो
Can you see my presentation right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you. Right. So before moving on to the presentation, let me ask you a question. Like, what exactly is this distant learning, online learning, virtual learning, e-learning, blended learning that we are hearing today? Now, I'm not going into the definition part of all these new terminologies, but rather I'll ask a question whether we are doing it right now. So my answer would be like no, it is pandemic learning, not virtual learning that we are doing right now. Peter DeWitt, an author in the area of education, he has coined this term pandemic learning. Yeah, when you think about it, yes, it is correct because there was a crisis situation and we rose beautifully and we started, you know, shifting our medium of presentation from a classroom setup to the online setup. So currently what we are doing is pandemic learning rather than online learning. So what exactly is this online learning? That is a question. You will get the answer as I go through my presentation. Before moving into the content and delivery part of the online learning, there are certain issues that we need to consider. Rather than issues, there are these questions that you need to answer or you need to discuss with your colleagues and the institution to come up with the right answer. Now, the first problem that anybody, uh, while you go for online learning, faces the connectivity issue. Now, if you're, what do you say? If you're presenting or if you're connecting from your office setup, then it is okay. But majority of the population who lives in remote areas doesn't have the connectivity that a city has. Even in cities, there are certain areas where connectivity is still an issue. So, how will you tackle such situation? Or rather, when a student is not able to attend your online classroom, how will you give him the attendance? That is the first and foremost thing that we need to look into. Second question is, can students really afford it? Right. So this question arose when we were doing the online classroom, and say we had planned for 5 hour session, and it was found out that like by the half, that means by noon, the entire 1 GB pack was over for many of the students. When a household has 2 or 3 kids, how will the parents be able to afford to give such internet connectivity to all the students? That is another question. Another one is the number of students present inside the classroom. Right? Now, ideally, for a virtual classroom to work well, the number should be between 15 to 20. If it goes beyond 15 to 20, how will you handle these people or these students inside your classroom? That is another biggest question you need to ask. For example, for an undergraduate course where you have to teach language, then the number will be staggeringly high, like 150 to 200 students would be there for studying English, Hindi, Malayalam, etc. So how will you handle such big classrooms? Yeah, Google Meet or Zoom platforms have the capability to handle 250 to 500 classrooms, but still it is a daunting task. Now, another question we need to ask ourselves is, how will you handle laboratory-based courses, art courses, etc., wherein you need to have lab or studios, etc. Then that is another biggest question that you need to ask. Another one is, are we really prepared enough to handle such a big change? In change management theory, we talk about adaptation, then adoption. But here, what happened was like straight away we had to get into the adoption phase rather than the adaptation phase. So we were not given enough time to prepare ourselves. Young faculty, it is okay, but those faculty members who has got 2 decades of experience, they are familiar with chalk and talk method only. How will they handle a sudden change in the medium of communication? It's a question. But as faculty members, we should upload ourselves because we have adopted very well to the crisis situation. So we should applaud ourselves. Another biggest issue in this particular area is the feeling of loss of control. Now, loss of control is something which we faculty members feel because in a classroom, the teacher has control over many phases, be it the learning, be it the students, etc. But now the shift is from a teacher to the student because students lead the learning process. Students can decide whether to attend the class. Students can decide whether to actually learn something, etc. So that loss of control is going to create havoc in your system, especially in your professional as well as in your personal area. So mind you, the spillover effect is going to have enough issues. Another issue that we need to consider, why currently our virtual learning system works out very well is because the students have a feeling of community, because already they know who are the stakeholders in that particular community. Students have good rapport with the teachers. Students have good rapport with their peers. They are very much familiar with the environment. But what will happen when a new batch joins the organization, and as faculty members, you have to take classes for them where you don't know what is the background of the students, whether they will accept whatever you are talking about, etc. So the sense of that sense of community is very big factor in students attending the class or not attending the class. Another biggest issue we need to address is the assessment part. In our college and universities, the assessment is clear cut. This is the way to do the assessment. Now, when the medium is suddenly changed, how will you assess the students? That is the biggest question. So this cannot do much because the institutional leadership has to take up the initiative and uh, frame a policy in order to have a proper assessment system. Then security, when you go online, your data is not at all secure. So how will you handle the security threats and security issues? We have heard a lot of terminologies like Zoom bombing, etc. It is there. That security issue is there. So how do you tackle that? That is another question you need to ask. And finally, all these issues can create a gamut of emotions from frustration, mild frustration to anger in your daily life. And it will affect your personal life also. So that is there. But what can we do? Amidst all these issues, there is a silver lining, right? So what are the opportunities that this particular situation has created? One is collaborative online international learning. Actually, you can now widen your horizon and your curriculum so that uh, training or learning is possible with the help of international collaborators, etc. That is very much there. So previously when we were asked to bring in foreign delegates and all, it was very difficult. We can't even think about video conferencing. Now it is possible. We are doing it. So that is the biggest opportunity that you have. Another one is the new learning teaching style. Why I have written as learning teaching style is because the focus have shifted from teaching to learning. So clearly there is a shift in the way in which learning is happening. So a new way of learning teaching style has evolved. So this is another opportunity that you are having. So make use of it. I know we are having issues with this online pedagogy or digital learning or whatever you are calling. Remember, we are still learning. We are still in the process of understanding what are the issues and what can you do in order to excel in this field. So my advice is be patient, understand the situation, act accordingly. Now, before going on to the content designing and delivery part, let me briefly give you some online learning application that you can use. Obviously, Google Meet for video conferencing and all, you can use Google Meet as a medium. Then this is the LMS, learning management system that you can use freely. That is Google Classroom. Microsoft Teams is also a learning management system platform. Many, what I'm not talking about older faculty, it's senior faculty members who are used to talk and talk method. They can also continue using that, using Google Jamboards and Google Canvas. The biggest advantage is you can bring in pictures, etc. You don't have to draw it in the board. Instead, you can import the pictures and all into the Google Jamboard and then start explaining. So it is a wonderful method of using it as a whiteboard. So Google Jamboard and Google Canvas is a whiteboard solution. Another teleconferencing method is Zoom video conferencing technique. And one of the wonderful technology that I have encountered while I was researching for this particular conference is the Flipgrid. I've started using it also. Flipgrid allows you to communicate one-on-one with your students. Biggest advantage is when you use Flipgrid, you can actually communicate with each and every student. When you give an assignment, the student will have to record a video, then it will be posted back to you as a teacher, and as a teacher you will be assessing him according to that particular video. So it is a wonderful tool for one-on-one communication. So that level of rapport can be maintained with the student, and you can get to know your students better when you use Flipgrid application. So it is a free software. Please make use of it. Another useful technology that you can use is the Chrome extensions available for Google Meet. So the first one is called Screencastify. Screencastify is a Google Chrome extension wherein you can actually record the videos. Say if you want to project explain a PowerPoint. PowerPoint is there. You can record the one second. You can actually record the video using Screencastify. Second one is one second. There was some problem with the lesson now.
कोई नमूना करके तो कुछ याद नो सर वो सही यो ले खबर है फलाना भर रहा है ठीक है
Okay, second useful Chrome extension that you can use is attendance. Again, taking attendance is a big hassle in Google Meet. Now, with the help of this particular extension, you can actually find out who has attended your session, who has not attended your session, and you can mark your attendance. That is possible with Google attendance, Meet attendance. That is the name you have to search in the web store. Another useful Chrome extension is Node. This is a era of emojis, right? So with the help of Node, you can actually communicate with your students in their level. Like when they answer well, you can upload them using Node. When you wanted to communicate some humor, you can laugh like that. So you can use emojis inside your Google Meet. That is possible with Node. Another app, useful extension is Push to Talk. Now, if you want to ask question, you have to go find out, unmute your Google Meet. If you install this particular extension, Push to Talk, you just have to press your space bar. Once the key is released, again you will be muted. So that is possible. And then another Google Chrome extension that you can use for Google Meet is Grid View. So usually when you go for a grid view inside your Google Meet, you can see only 16 participants. Now, if your class is having 30 participants, you cannot see it in single window. So grid view makes it possible for you to see the entire 30 participants in your screen. So you can see what exactly your students are doing there. So that is possible with grid view. Another useful Chrome extension is DualLess. Now, when you present, what happens is like you can see only your presentation screen. You don't know what exactly your students are doing. So with DualLess, if you install the DualLess, you can split your screen into two parts. In one screen, you will be presenting, and in another screen, you can view your students. So that is possible with DualLess. So these are some of the tools that you can use. And in between, let me give you a small tip. when you start creating the content online, you also start preparing a website for yourself. So it will speak for yourself. You are actually branding yourself. You're creating a virtual resume for you. So some tools that you can use for that is WordPress, Wix, Weebly, etc. These are free website building tools that you can use. Wix and all, it will take you through the process. So you don't it will tell you the step-by-step process in which you can actually create a website. That is possible with Wix. So this is one tip in between the presentation. Now, let me tell you one simple thing. Online learning is not transferring lecture into online medium, right? So this is the first and foremost thing we have to understand. Here, when you convert the medium from classroom to online, that is not online teaching. We have to again, I think somebody has started presenting again. Please don't click present now when I'm talking, because that will create problems with the PPT. Let me once again present. Okay, sorry for the delay. Now, this is the important part, content preparation. So, in content preparation, I have divided into three parts: structure, the assessment, and the strategies. In the structure, I'll tell you what are the things that you have to do, or rather, what are the things you have to consider when you prepare for the online lecture session. The first and foremost thing that you have to do is preparing the timetable. Right? So it will vary from institution to institution. If it is a small department, this is an easy task. When it becomes a big institution with, say, 100 and more courses, it will be a biggest issue, right? For large institution, you need a big centralized committee who will be doing the timetable presentation, because the problem here is the bandwidth. When everybody start uh, presenting at the same time, your internet connectivity will be a problem. Right? So the second part is your actual preparation for the class. So what I tell you, what I want to discuss here is, we have to keep one thing in mind, that is, not every one of your students will be able to join your classroom. So how will you make sure that those students have learned something in your classroom? That is the biggest problem with the entire online setup. I told you earlier also, there are issues which we cannot do anything. So how will you ensure that those students are also covered in your classroom? So for that, you have to approach the online learning in a different way, right? So here you have to prepare pre-reading materials, and it should be given to the students um, beforehand itself, and you have to conduct online session as a discussion forum, right? So you should ask your students to go through the materials, prepare their prepare for their classes, then ask them to come to online classroom for discussing. Here you are not actually lecturing them on the topic. So if we don't do this, the learning cannot be ensured here. That is the biggest problem. And in a classroom, there are different types of students. There are active students as well as passive students. Now, how to convert passive to active, my colleague Jitin will be talking about that. But active students, for them, just giving the handouts. I'm not talking about PPT slides. I'm talking about handouts wherein there is a slide, under that there is some note as in which what you wanted to explain, or some extra examples like that. So I'm talking about those handouts. I'm not talking about PPT slides. So that should be the pre-reading material that you have to give to your students. So for active students, this is not enough. So how do you make them learn more? There you have to give additional reading materials. It could be in the form of books, chapters, or certain articles, etc. Or even it could be some YouTube videos where it is relevant to your classroom. So that you have to prepare, and it should be given in advance so that kids can go through this particular content and come prepared for the classroom. Now, next is when you present. The biggest problem that I have faced here is the chance of exhausting the content early. I might have gone to the class prepared for 1 hour session. When you don't get a response from the other side, it's like a monologue, right? So what happens is like you will exhaust the content early. In classroom, it is different. When you look into your students, you can understand whether they have understood or not. When you feel that the students have not understood, you tend to explain further, or you tend to give them another example. So it will take some time to make them understand the concept. Here it is not like that. Here you are presenting, there is no response from the other side, you are actually talking to a screen. So for the 1 hour session will become 20-minute session. So rest of the 40 minutes, rest of the time, what will you do? That is the biggest question. So for that, have some backup plan. Prepare some additional quizzes or some assignment or some ideas, etc. Right? So prepare that and keep. So it is a backup plan. Then how do you ensure student engagement? I'm not going into that aspect because Jitin will be dealing solely on that particular topic. So he'll be discussing more about how do you engage the student into your online learning classroom. Then the second biggest issue is assessment. See, previously the assessment or grading policy was clear-cut. University has given us guidelines on how to do assessment and grading. Now it is not like that, right? The medium has changed, so entire setup has changed. So assessment and grading policy should be created properly, and it should be communicated to the students. And to ensure learning outcomes, I suggest multiple continuous assessment on single topic. It could be MCQs, it could be caselets. Caselet is small cases, assignments, and now it is a digital medium. So how do you ensure that they have not copied from some website and submitted to you? Use plagiarism tool. Give them small projects, give them small team-based activities, etc. These are multiple ways in which you can assess whether the student have achieved the learning outcome or not. So, but one thing you have to make sure is you have to communicate it to the students that this is going to be the assessment pattern and you have to strictly follow it. Now, these are my strategies that I follow in presenting or preparing for the classroom. So chunk it. It is very difficult for the students to sit throughout for a 1 hour session. So instead what you should do is break into 20 minute session. Plan activities in between. And moreover, make sure that you stop recording for a moment, spend 5 minutes with the students so as to build the rapport. As I told you earlier, the reason why this online setup is now working is because you have good rapport with your students. You know your students, you know how they will be responding to you. That is the reason. So make sure that you have you maintain that rapport with the student. Gappe marlo, or gossip, do something, but have some personal contact with the student through online medium. Then do the assessment, and finally you should give instruction for the next session in your session. Right? Now, I'll give you a scenario wherein you lose the connection. You are not able to log into your system while you're taking class. What will you do? This is where your backup plan comes up. So use some kind of LMS system so that there is a backup plan for you. You call the students and ask them to do the activities. So this can be done. So you are ensuring that your class has gone without any hassle. Now, this is the biggest part. Emotions are at the heart of teaching. Maintaining emotional connect with the student is very essential. You're dealing with human beings with emotions. They have their own thoughts, they have their own emotions. You are not dealing with robots. So that maintaining that connection with the student is more important amidst all these things. Just ask them, how are you doing? How are you coping with the situation? That is more than enough for them. Now, content delivery, there are certain etiquettes that we need to follow, and as well as we need to expect from our students also. First and foremost, mute when you are not speaking. And be punctual. For me, punctual is you should arrive in the online setup 15 minutes ahead of your presentation so as to ensure that things are going smoothly. So be punctual and make sure that you are professionally attired. And you should make your students also do the same. Clean and well dressed will do. There was a situation wherein one of our faculty members were taking class and the student was in Banyan. So this can happen, but make sure that he or she is well dressed. Another biggest thing is camera and light setting. Make sure that ample light is there. Your laptop is placed in the eye level, and when you look into the screen, they should feel that they are looking to you. So you should set up your seating position in such a way, and make sure that in the background it is a plain background rather than some clutter and all. So make sure that. And minimal body movements, because when you move in front of your camera, it may distract the students. So contain yourself, contain in front of your screen, and then continue lecture. Another biggest thing is before recording, make them ask you the permission, because you don't know. Once you've gone online, your data is not safe. Where all your lecture will reach. So make them understand that the privacy of ourselves and others is important. This is applicable even for team presentations if we are doing it. Right? So this is what I have to discuss. So the takeaway from this session is the hybrid learning approach that we need to follow. And the second takeaway is that we need to have clear policies on assessments and attendance. And I have also given you some glimpse about the technological difficulty, useful technologies for digital pedagogy. So with this quote, I'm handing over my session to Jitin. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jitta, and I will take away from where Dr. Jitta has rightly stopped. Now, the topic of the second half of the discussion will be basically on engaging the students online, and the second portion will be like organizing your content online. We'll also speak about a teacher branding aspect, where you speak about editing your content online and publishing your materials online. Going ahead. Now, the biggest drawback of online learning is disengaged students. Right now, I have 240 of my people with my webinar. Half, or I don't know how many, are disengaged, or how many are multitasking. Expect the same thing when you are online. There will be 101 things that you'll be doing. I have nothing to say on this. So this is a big problem. So how to deal with student engagement to overcome the barriers of learning? So we'll first find the strategies. The first strategy would be like, you have to tap their curiosity. You will have to find the learning, you have to retune the learning process itself. And you have to find the learning methodology or teaching methodology that is very perfect for this online podium. Have the habit of giving them success and achievement. See, they cannot see you. I mean, they cannot come and feel in front of you. So you'll have to give the success and achievement in online parlance, which is not very easy, but it is possible, that I'm going to speak about. Make learning fun. Learning can be made fun in many different aspects. So make learning fun. The three basic needs of students are to give them the sense of belonging. It's very easy for us to give it when it is in the online, when it is in the offline, when we meet them. But in online, it is very difficult, as what Dr. Jitha was speaking, to give them the sense of belonging and to empower them, to give them a small tap on their back becomes difficult. And make learning fun, because we are the teachers who are in charge of bringing the passion into our classroom. How can we do that in online parlance? Here, I'll just introduce to you some of the web tools for gamification or gamifying your online classes. Now, the first one would be something like Socrative or Kahoot. Now, these are quizzing apps. Then we have another quizzing app like Quizzes and FlipQuiz. Now, Duolingo and ClassDojo. Duolingo is actually is an app that makes you learn about different languages. And ClassDojo is on a similar portion. And we have BadgeOS and Goldbook. Now, what is BadgeOS and Goldbook? These are digital, small taps that you give, a small badge that you're doing well. It's a good thing that you did. You give them some miles and goals and milestones. And once they achieve that, we can award them some badges. So these are some of the simple web tools for gamification that as a teacher, as a beginner, as a veteran teacher, you can use in your online classes. Now, I'm not trying to go into a very details, but I'll just take one or two of them. The first one is Kahoot. Now, Kahoot is actually a gaming or a quizzer, or it's a quiz app which can be used as a warm-up. Now, Dr. Jitha was speaking, like you'll have to make an online connect with them. If at all something happens that your data get exhausted, this would be a right tool to engage them online. If at all admin allows me, well, let's see if we can have, if time permits, we'll have a game, Kahoot game that we can incorporate into this webinar. Let me see as the time permits. And the next online app is about quizzes. So I was just speaking, Kahoot and quizzes are similar, but Kahoot is a little different because Kahoot has a lot of animations, and there are two different, like you can be the admin, you can give the questions, or it is like you can play in a self-paced mode also. So Kahoot and quizzes. Now, another big problem that when we do online sessions is that the students cannot go in teams and play. Now, when you are in classes, you might ask them to do discussions in groups. You might ask them to do some activities in groups. But how do you do that in online parlance? Socrative is the answer for that. Now, in Socrative, you have three different options. I would rather say the best one is a space race. Now, once you log in, you can just take a trial once the webinar is done. Just do try all these online apps. Now, Space Race is actually a game where you can have the students collaborate in different groups and answer the questions. It is like a quiz app itself, but the quiz can be done in teams. Now, on the screen, I hope you can see the different teams like blue, magenta, lime. These are the different teams that they have logged in, and you can show them the progress as and how it is progressing. Now, and also you can see the answers. You can see the answers, you can see the progress. Now, another thing is, now Dr. Jidda was also speaking about how to take the attendance. Sometimes some people are like little lethargic, they are disinterested. So when you put a quiz like this, you can see their activity, you can see who is present, who is doing well, who is disengaged. Everything can be, I just asked Ayushi Chaudhary not to start presenting. Okay, thank you so much. And so that is about Socrative. Now, I'm not going into a hands-on on this, but I can definitely give you a hands-on if admin permits. Just hold on a moment. Somebody had presented in between. I will just hold a minute. Resume your presentation. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Now, so the next one, at the same time, you have a very simple app called Google Forms. So I think at least 50 to 70% of the audience in front of me would be knowing what are Google Forms. Now, Google Forms are the very simple method of hosting quizzes. Okay, so Google Forms can, please check into the different tutorials as if you don't know how to do quizzes in Google Forms. Google Forms also gives you a very brief as well as simple methods of doing online quizzes. So this is how you do it in Google Forms. Google Forms also, please mute. We'll have the questions at last. I'm sorry. So this is how you log into Google Forms. You can start a blank form and you can have your quizzes. It is very simple. You can just enter your different questions and make it into a quiz mode. So that is the first part of the presentation where you speak about engaging students. So in engaging students, the thing is like you will have to find out which tool or which method or which app is the right one for you. So there are a hell lot of apps out there, but only thing is you just have to identify and understand which one is good for your course. So there are different games for different. For example, in Max you have Dr. Pai's apps. You have Khan Academy. For social sciences, you have there for each and everything. Just check as how we can do this in Google. Okay, so next one is about organizing your content online. Now you have a lot of data, you have a lot of materials. Now how do you organize them? Now you can have the first option as Moodle, because Moodle is actually a learning management system that was there from years ago, and it is it is robust. At the same time, many organizations, many colleges have their own LMS softwares like Linways and many other things. If you don't have anything, if college is not having anything, you can start your own organizing content online using Google Classroom. Now, what is Google Classroom? Google Classroom is a perfect solution for organizing all your educational contents. Now, why should you use it? Because it is better backup. It gives you a better backup where all the files are automatically backed up. And it allows teachers to see the real-time progress and behavior of the individuals. So teachers can see the progress, and you can make sure that the students are engaged in the classroom. And it helps the teacher to ensure that it improves the organization of the entire materials, the task, assignments, quizzes, everything can be collaborated into one particular podium. It saves time because you don't have to take prints and makes your office paperless. And it is simple because simplicity is a soul of style, or simplicity is ultimate sophistication. And Google Classroom is very simple. You can just collaborate all the different facets of Google, like Google Calendar, YouTube, Google Docs, everything into Google Classroom. You can post your updates if you have some exams coming up, if you have some quizzes coming up, if you have your marks ready and you want to show it to the students. Instead of WhatsApp, you can even use Google Classroom. So it becomes much more professional. And it is there. It's always backed up, so you don't have the fear of losing. You can upload materials. You can keep in contact with the students. You can assess the students and keep track of dates. And so this, in fact, is very, very interesting to start Google Classroom. So I request all of you to just, as the webinar is over, to start your, understanding or start discovering about how to use Google Classroom. It really helps you to organize your classes very well. So next topic that I would like to speak about is branding. Brand yourself as a teacher. Now, Dr. Jidda has also mentioned about it. Now, brand yourself as a teacher. Now, once you can do this by recording your sessions. You can do this by putting your materials in different online podiums and editing and publishing it. So 3 things: you can record, you can edit and publish your online content. So the first way in which you can do your recording, how you can record your materials is like you can use the Screencastify. Now, this is a very simple application that can be used in mobile as well as in your personal computer or laptop. Just type Screencastify, where your screen, whatever is in your screen, can be recorded and it can be used as an online material. Another one is Microsoft PowerPoint. Now, I'll be speaking a little bit more about this in the coming slides. And the next one is camera. You can just use your mobile camera to record. Now, you can see n number of videos coming out in YouTube, so you can do yours on your own. We'll speak about that. So the simplest one is recording your class using Microsoft PowerPoint. How do you do that? This is the simplest of all. Now, you have your own, the materials for the PPT material for your class open. Go to the slideshow and just press record slideshow button. Now, you will have 2 options in front of you. Start record. You can just click on start record from the beginning. And then you just keep on speaking as what you have to speak on the class. You can save the presentation and this can be sent to the students. So students can see a very vibrant class of the teacher coming to them into their WhatsApp or mail or whatever. So this is the very simplest thing, but you can even make it a little more attractive. This is the outcome, how it looks like. You can make it a little more attractive by using editing tools. Now you can edit your the presentation. Now you have some videos being recorded in your mobile, in your phones. So you can use these different softwares. Each one has its own something different. The simplest is KineMaster and OpenShot, and much more advanced is Camtasia. Camtasia I've already put in the screen. KineMaster is available both in mobile as well as in online. OpenShot and Camtasia, it is much more agile when you work with mobile, with the desktop and laptops. So once you have your phone, just put a camera in front of you, just like Dr. Jidda was speaking, like we'll keep the camera in front of you, put a good lighting, speak in front of it. You might not be successful in the first and second attempt. Just keep on recording and then put them into this kind of very simple editing softwares, and whatever you want to cut and delete is delete it and then save it. And then you can even add a lot of presentations, like, you can give a front title and everything. So that becomes much more interesting. And so finally, when you do all these things, you will be able to brand yourself as a teacher. The whole world will come to know about you, your talents, your content, everything will be much more visible. There are different, online podiums where you can upload your materials. Like everybody is aware about SlideShare. I hope 90% of you will be aware about SlideShare. If you have a very good PowerPoints, do start your own account in SlideShare and start make your own account and start uploading there in SlideShare. Blogs are another beautiful methods in which you can make your digital footprint. And now this is one of the very famous marketing practice by my professor Harish, and he has a very innovative. Please mute yourself. We'll have the questions at last. So blogging can be one. If you're very good as a teacher, you can use blogging. YouTube. Now this is the biggest trend right now. You can start your own YouTube channel. See, trust me. Before the pandemic, I have not done anything like this, but since the situation arose, I had to do this, and I was very pathetically bad when I did it initially, but over the time, it's becoming better. So please take your first step forward. Start creating your own YouTube channel. It is all free. You just have to undergo a tutorial as how to upload in YouTube. If you find yourself as the video is enough and good, just share with only your students. Don't make it public. And then over the time, you can start, sharing with with everyone. It's very easy to start a Facebook page also. So these are the different ways in which you can brand yourself as a teacher. See, all these things were not possible. I'm so happy today since sitting in front of you. First time in my life, I'm talking to 250 of my audience. I might, more than that. I don't know. I can't see the count right now. I might have taken classes for about 20 to 30 to 60 to 70. But talking to an audience this huge, this is possible because of this digital arena. We have to thank for that. So to conclude, or rather, to come to a final note like this, we teachers should be proud, because no teacher, no technology, nothing can ever replace a teacher forever. You cannot replace a teacher forever, because teachers are the lifeblood. Nobody can ever replace a teacher, neither Google, nothing. So this is what I have to speak. So right now, I'm going to give a try. I just request all of you to just type Kahoot. Let's try for this. I don't know whether it works out or not. Just type kahoot.in. Kahoot.in in your, I'll just show you how to do that. Just type Kahoot. Are you all seeing my presentation? I'll type in chat as what you are supposed to do. Just type Kahoot, www.kahoot.it. www.kahoot.it. Can you see that? And you will be taken to a page where you'll be asking you to enter the game pin. It will be asking you to enter your game pin. So I just type the game pin in the chat box. I'll just try to enter the game pin in the chat box. Yeah, 1 second. Please check the chat box. That is the game pin, and I'll just show you how your screen should look like right now. You will see a screen like this. Let's Kahoot, enter game pin. I just enter the game pin there, and you can start playing. You can start playing. Just type in the chat box if you are able to do it. www.kahoot.it, not in. Kahoot.it. Kahoot.it, not IT. Kahoot.it. Please enter the game pin. I already shared the game pin. Yes, I can see the people playing here. There are 34 players. Abhi, Avinash, Varun, Sunil, Kiran, people are playing. Perfect. Others also, please take the quiz. I had given the game pin in the chat box. Just type www.kahoot.it, not in, IT. In a new window, not this window. Please type in a new window. Yes, there are more of them now. All 45 joined. I was just trying to give you a feel as how this game looks like. Progress very well. Ramya and Sunil is leading. GG is also leading. Shweta, Neha, Gyal, everybody is there. Playing very well. Highest score is for Ramya as of now. Perfect. Good quizzing. I request others also to just keep trying to log in. www.kahoot.it in a new window. And the pin number is given in the Google, in the chat box. Just go to the chat box and take the Google pin from there. I hope, at least some of you are getting a grip of or the thrill or the taste of this particular app, Kahoot. Okay, just type something in the chat box. Repeat pin. Okay. Once again. I'll give the pin once again. I'm just giving the game pin once again. Okay, somebody has already played. That's great. Okay, now thank you so much. Just pause. Just pause. Those who have finished playing, congratulations. I can see here Varsha. A lot of them. One second. I can just go down and check. A lot of people. Babalu Kumar has got 2,000 points. Thank you so much. Now you can just play with this with your students and try to check. I'll just introduce you one more topic, one more game. If you are interested, just open a new chat box, a new tab, and type what again? Socrative. Just type Socrative. Just type Socrative and or in Google write Socrative student login. Wait, in the chat box I'll give you the link what you are supposed to. Just check the chat box. Just click on this particular link, socrative.com, and this, or in Google just type Socrative student login. Just check the chat box. It is Socrative. Now this is what I said. You can start collaborating with others. Just the meeting ID, your ID should be Benedict 7579. I'll just show you that. Yeah. Your this is your student login, Benedict 7579. I am putting it in the chat box. BENEDICT 7579. Just check the chat box. Just check the chat box. You'll get a page like this, Socrative, where in the room name, type Benedict 7579. Okay, I'm hosting the quiz. I'm putting the number of teams. You can set the number of teams. Like if you want 5 teams in your class, 5 teams of students, give 5 teams. I'm giving auto assign, and I'm starting now. You will get the activity. You can start playing. Hope you can see the screens. Yes, blue, magenta, line, peach. Now you will be automatically assigned to some teams, but if later I'll tell you how you can make students. Yeah, magenta has already started playing. Very perfect. Lime is also in the groove. Yep, perfect. Peach has also come up. Violet and blue. Maybe the team, somebody in the team to play. Perfect. Magenta has finished. Lime, peach. Very nice. Just do watch my screens. Oh, everybody has done. I'll show you how your results will look like now. Just check the results here on my screens. Just a minute. Just a minute. You can see the results also. Hold on a moment. Okay, now some technical glitches, but we can see the link. We can see as who all are present, who all have done well. Everything with the once you have done with the results page, you can see everything. So I'll just go back to the presentation. Somebody is presenting. I just request to not to present. Okay. Sharing. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you really got a grip as how you are supposed to do with the Kahoot as well as the Socrative game. Now, I'll also like to show you a little bit on the Google Classroom. So I spoke about the Google Classroom, and in another 5 minutes, I'll just give you a grip as how you should start a Google Classroom. Now just go to Google and type Google Classroom. Maybe you can do it later, but I'm just showing you. And then over here, you can see a create or join class. Click on that. Now you being the teacher, you should click on create class. Click on create class and just click here, continue. Somebody else is presenting. Please don't do that. Somebody else is presenting. Please don't do that. Okay, I'll just present. Hold a moment. Somebody else is presenting in between. I will just. Okay, so I hope I was speaking right now as how you should go to Google Classrooms, and once you create Classroom, you are just supposed to type your class name, section, and room. Type your class name. Give some class name. For example, I would just type as modern history. Yeah, you don't have to give anything else. You don't have to write anything, but you can even write that also. But just create.
On behalf of the Central College and
Click on modern.
On for the fourth session of our FTP program on research methodology.
I'm sorry.
I hope the morning session of the
Oh, I'm sorry. Once again. Some technical glitches. I'm really sorry. So you can just go to the click on this create class and give the credential. And once you log in, you will get something like this. You will get a page like this where you can post your informations. You can post your informations, and then you have a place called classwork where you can create. I just request all of you to be on mute. I can hear some noise. Just you can click on create and give assignments, quizzes. You can post a material or reuse a topic, anything. So you can click on classroom and give all the activities and schedule the quizzes. You can click on Google Calendar and give a timing as when you have to get the quizzes and get the materials or assignments submitted back. So when you click on people, you can see the students in your classroom. So these are the different students in my classroom. They should be very happy seeing their names on screens, and hundreds of people are listening, seeing that. And then the beauty here lies in the grades. Now, once you click on grades, you can see all your assignments, whatever is there, will come like one page where you can take your internal assessments from the grades. It's a little bit slow, that's why it's not happening. So maybe I was not able to guide you entirely, but I just request you to go to different tutorials and try to understand how a Google Classroom works out. Okay, so I would try to conclude my session with this. So I hand over to the admin and just take some questions, relevant ones from the chat box. Admin, can you just give if there are any?
Hi.
Yes, sir.
If there is any question that you would like to clarify now, may put the questions on the chat box so that the presenter could read and answer your questions. So there is a question that is, could you please elaborate on the security issues pertaining to these applications? So there is a question from Ikra Shafi. Could you please elaborate on the security issues pertaining to these applications?
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah. Am I audible now?
There's, yeah, you are. There's a question that is, could you please elaborate on the security issues pertaining to these applications that were discussed today?
Okay. So there was a news, say a few months back, that Zoom was hacked, right? So once you go online, nothing of your data is secure. So you can have problems from many sides, right from recording your classroom, when you give assignment that can be shared, right? So data is not at all secure in any of these platforms. But we have no other way. You have to continue your online classroom. But only thing that you can do is like you can make your student understand the issues of security and make them ask permission to you while recording and sharing the information. That's all you can do. I hope I have clarified the question. Any other question?
There is another question that I've come across. This is to Dr. Jiten Benedict. The question is, sir, could you please?
Okay, I can hear a question. I can see a question here. Can we share case studies in the Google Classroom from websites? See, you can do that. Only thing is the case studies that you're taking is authorized. If you have a good case study which is authorized, and you can share any document, whether it is a PDF document, a case study, anything. You can either give a link or you can upload that into Google Classroom. It is possible. Maybe I can show you. Let me see. I can show you. No, the Google Classroom is right now hung. It's not working. Okay, so you can do that. Yes. Anything else?
So there is a question again to you.
Yes,
the question is, could you please explain about Socrative?
Okay, see, Socrative is actually a what is an app or a application that is used for collaborative learning. Basically, it is a quiz app. So you can have your students play this in teams. Just like right now we played in different teams like Peach, Magenta and all. You can use it to make students engage in team learning. it's a team-based gaming app. I hope it's clear. Anything else?
So there is a question that is, how can we take attendance from Google Classroom?
Can we take attendance from Google Classroom? Yes, you can do that. Now there are different ways in this. So very simple way is you can host a quiz in Google Classroom. You can host a quiz in Google Classroom, and then you make the students appear in the quiz. So those who are appearing in the quiz could be a method you can track as their attendance. The second method is I was just looking in online yesterday. So there is a method in which you can use QR coding, where you can give a link, and students can scan that particular link in their on mobile phones and show that they are present. So that is also available, but you can just check in on digital podiums. This is possible. There are different methods. Yes.
So there was another question that is related. So there was another question whether you could show it on the Google Classroom how to take the quiz. If you could please show me the present now button.
Am I audible right now?
Yeah. So the question was whether you could show how to do a quiz on the Google Classroom. So if you could please present now.
Yeah. Wait a second. My Google Classroom is hung right now, but wait a minute. Let me see if I can do that. You can just go to Google Classroom. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Hold on a moment. See, how you do a quiz in Google Classroom is you will have to make you have to take a Google Forms first. You have to take a Google form and create a quiz in Google Forms. Create a quiz in Google Forms. So you can see a blank quiz, right? Go to Google Forms, create a blank quiz, and ask, whatever questions you have, create a quiz in Google Forms. And then after that, see, I can show you some Google quizzes that I have done. This is my research methodology class. I have given them classwork. Now, this is a quiz on parametric and non-parametric. See, it's a Google form. This is a Google form. Now, when I click this, you can see the quizzes, resuming, collecting. Okay, this is just a link, so I cannot show you that. So this is how you can attach. If you see here, if you see to, okay, if you see here, okay, you can see the assignments. Now, how you do this is you go to your Google Classroom and click on, one second, RM, and go to your classwork and click create and quiz assignment. Click on quiz assignment. So here you can create your quizzes. I hope it is clear. But it will take time. You just have to learn about it. Admin, can I have? Do we have some more questions or?
We are just going through the question. On the chat box. Can we conduct descriptive type examination through these platforms? Which is the best one for the same? Can we perform end-to-end method without sharing with the entire class? This is a simple question being asked by Pramod.
Now the question given is like, can we have descriptive questions? Now this would be as what Dr. Jitha was speaking. You can have descriptive questions or descriptive answers. Only thing is, in Google Classroom you can host descriptive. You can host a question like, write about pandemic COVID-19, and students can submit their assignments. They can submit their one-page Word document. Only thing is that Dr. Jitha was telling you just require a plagiarism tool to check whether they have copied or not. Yes, it is possible. You can do that. It's possible. But there is high probability that they can copy it from somewhere. You just have to ensure your plagiarism tool is up.
No? Any other questions?
There was another question that is, could you please tell how can we edit videos for uploading on YouTube?
Videos, editing videos for uploading.
Can you just speak once again? I didn't hear.
How to edit videos for uploading on YouTube?
Okay, hold a moment. Just hold a moment. I just take that particular slide. So you have 3 different applications for that. I mean, there are n number of applications, but what I would suggest is 3 of them. I'll just present the screen. It is, hold a moment. It is KineMaster. It could be OpenShot, or it could be Camtasia. Now, this requires a little bit of your, what is a patience to learn this. So I hope you can see it right now. Yeah, it's coming. You have editing tools as KineMaster, OpenShot, and Camtasia. So how you do this is, when you go to, or when you open this kind of editing tools, you can your video, the one which you have recorded in your mobile, will be in a CSV file mode. You can just open that in this particular OpenShot or Camtasia or KineMaster, and accordingly, if you find that there are some places where you're not looking onto the camera, or you have put some unwanted gestures, you can just cut them. No, it's a little difficult because right now it's not easy to show you in my system right now, but you can just download these softwares like KineMaster, and you can try it on your own. Record your material and then try editing it. It is possible.
So another question that I've come across is, hello?
Hello.
Yeah. Can I go with the next question, sir? Hello, can I go with the next question?
Yeah, I can hear. Yep.
Okay. So the next question is, how can we evaluate the exact knowledge of a student through online?
I'll just hand over to Dr. Jidda. How can we evaluate exact knowledge of the student online?
Can you repeat the question, please?
The next question is, how can we evaluate exact knowledge of a student?
See, that's what I was talking about earlier, that assessment should be in multiple forms, right? So you give them some MCQs, they'll copy, they'll give answers of their friends, etc. But ask them to do application-oriented assignment, right? So multiple ways you assess them, then take an average, that will do. So in that way, you can actually ensure that they have learned something or not. One way, one application I was discussing was Flipgrid, wherein you are giving the assignment, and student has to record a video answering the assignment. So it is like talking to you. So that is one way. Thank you. I think that answers the question.
The next question came is, are online classes self-paced or is it scheduled?
It can go both ways. As I told you earlier, actually I was using Google Classroom prior to this pandemic also. So when I wanted to discuss something previous day itself, I will be posting it. I'll be asking them to go through the material and then come prepared for the class. For example, case studies. In management, we use a lot of case studies. So previous day itself, I'll be giving them case studies, ask them to read the material and come and then present in the next day. So that is possible. And currently also it is possible because you can actually attach videos and you can ask them to look into the assignment, etc. So it can go both ways. Any other question?
The biggest problem doing online assessment is that you are not sure whether the candidate is taking or someone else is taking examination on his behalf. How to deal with this issue?
The problem with we teachers is we don't trust our students. You have to trust them, no other way.
There was some request from the participants that they would like to have the presentation and the video recording of the webinar, which would be shared to your personal email addresses, those who have submit the feedback forms. And the feedback form is pasted on the chat box. So you could give away your feedbacks. So the feedback form is being put across on the chat box. I'm again putting the feedback form on the chat box. So those who have filled the feedback form would be receiving the links to the video as well as the links with the presentation for the said lectures. And there were some requests from the participants that they need to have some practical sessions on KineMaster recording on the softwares which we would work, and we'll come back to you on a later date. Let me take this opportunity to thank Dr. Jida G. Nair and Dr. Jidin Benedict, the assistant professors with Albertian Institute of Management, for delivering a very informative and a fruitful session to all the participants.